everyone, this is D22 Games with you today. Today I'm going to be doing something different on my gaming channel. This is an ASMR video. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be reading the Dark Souls 3 instruction manual while I'm whispering to you. So, this is my first time doing this, so leave your feedback and comments below. I'm just going to be doing something different here, so I hope you enjoy it. You can read along with me by clicking on the link in the description so that you can follow along. Prima Starter Guide, Dark Souls 3, and you'll also hear some clicking along the way. Table of Contents, DualShock 4 Wireless Controller, page 4. Classes, page 7. Controls and HUD, page 13. Understanding your stats and attributes, page 15. What are Estus Flasks, page 17. On Death, Souls, and Leveling, page 18. Equipment, page 20. Combat, page 22. Dutch Quick Start, page 24. Swedish Quick Start, page 26. Finnish Quick Start, page 28. Customer Service Support, page 36. We're just going to read up to Combat. So, here we go. You're going to hear some tapping on the keyboard and some clicking on the mouse. Here we go. The DualShock wireless controller. The L2 button, R2 button, L1 button, R1 button, the share button, the options button, touchpad button, directional buttons, left stick L3 button, triangle button, circle button, X button, square button, right stick R3 button, left stick L3 button. In the field, up button switches the spell, down button switches item, left button switches left hand weapon, right button switches right hand weapon, X button interaction, examine, open, pick up, etc. Circle button, dash, roll, backstab. Triangle button, hold right hand, equipped weapon with both hands, held down, colon, hold left hand, equipped weapon with both hands and shield. Press triangle button again to cancel. Square button, use item. Left stick, move. L3 button, jump. L3 button while dashing. You can also select circle button for this under game options. Right stick, camera movement. R3 button, lock on, reset camera, returns the perspective to your front. L1, guard, left hand weapon action, regular attack. R1, right hand weapon action, regular attack. L2 button, parry, left hand weapon action, strong attack, right hand weapon arts. R2 button, right hand weapon action, strong attack, hold longer to charge attack. Touch button, left side, display gesture menu. Options button, touchpad button, right side, display start menu. Classes. DualShock 4 wireless controller. From the start menu, directional buttons, cursor movement, X button select, circle button, cancel and return. L1, R1 button changes categories. Touchpad button left side, displays help window. Options button, touchpad button right side, hides the start menu. Classes. Knight, an obscure knight of poor renown who collapsed roaming the land, sturdy owning to high vitality and stout armor. Mercenary, a mercenary and veteran of the battlefield. High dexterity allows masterful wielding of dual scimitars. Warrior, descendant of northern warriors famed for their brawn, utilizes high strength to wield a heavy battle axe. Thief, a common thief and pitiful deserter, wields a dagger intended for backstabs along a military issue bow. Herald, a former herald who journeyed to finish a quest undertaken, wields a sturdy spear and plays a gentle restorative miracle. Assassin, an assassin who stalks her prey from the shadows, favors sorceries in addition to thrusting swords. Sorcerer, a loner from formal academia to pursue further research, commands soul sorceries using high intelligence. Cleric, a traveling cleric who collapses from exhaustion, channels high faith to cast many varied miracles. Pyromancer, a pyromancer from a remote region who manipulates flame, also an adept close combat warrior who wields a hand axe. Deprived, naked, and of unknown origin, either an unfathomable form of life or stripped of possessions upon burial. Now only embers remain. Dark Souls 3 begins a new chapter in this challenging and brutal series. Once again, you are faced with epic bosses, dangerous traps, exacting and precise combat, and the constant threat of invasion by other players. The world is dangerous and true safety is a luxury. This starter guide is intended to ease your passage into the world of Dark Souls 3. Whether you're returning to the series or a first-time player, we hope that you can pick up the skills you need to defend yourself during those grueling and delightful early hours of the game. Most games try to take you through a specific narrative, introducing you to the world and its characters at preset moments. The narrative in Dark Souls takes a different path. The story and history of the Bleak World is one you must discover yourself. Hints gleaned from item descriptions, optional conversations, and exploration of the detailed environment create a picture of the world. Trying to understand the lore and story of Dark Souls becomes a kind of game within the game. You are never required to invest in it or to care about the past, but there is a rich reward if you are willing to put in the time and effort to piece together your own narrative. Okay, we're going to continue on from the controls in your HUD just down to page 17. Here we go. You won't get far into Dark Souls 3 without knowing how to control your character. The following is a brief look at the HUD controls in combat. The HUD displays useful information at all times, so you never have to look far to check your status. Your character stays in the center of the screen and you have control of the camera to look around. Up top you have bars for your health in red, your FPs in blue, and your stamina in green. These fills or deplete depending on the actions you take and lets you track whether you can keep fighting, decide back off to rest, or heal, or if it's simply time to flee. If your character's health gets too low, you're in great danger. Use the Estus Flask to heal or retreat from combat entirely if that isn't an option. If your FP bottoms out, use the Ashen Estus Flask to restore item or resort to basic combats that don't rely on them to get the job done. Be careful about using the restoration from flasks in combat. You are vulnerable while drinking. Try to engage and take a drink away from hostiles and out of combat. Stamina is the easiest to restore. Back off and lower your shield to restore stamina more quickly. It only takes a few seconds, then you're ready to re-engage. In the bottom right is your soul's counter, the currency of the world of Dark Souls. The higher the number, the more you have to spend. If you accumulate a large number of souls, you should take a break from exploring to invest them in character growth. If you don't, you could lose them. The bottom left displays ready gear and spells. The items in your hands are on to the left and right. The tools you have ready are on the bottom. The top slot is for your spells. Use directional buttons to swap around these items with others in the same slots that you've prepared in the equipment menu, or you can go into the equipment screen to swap these items around ahead of time. Controls movement. The left stick controls your character's movement. Normally you turn and move in whatever direction you push. However, it's possible to lock onto enemy targets while pressing the R3 button. When you're locked into an enemy, your character faces them at all times, so moving left or right causes you to sidestep, and tilting down backs your camera away from the target. It's useful to switch between lock-on and regular movement frequently. It's easier to run away and get distance from your enemies when you aren't locked on. So do this safely to earn time for stamina to regenerate, or to look for a place to hide and use your Estus Flask. When you're on the attack, it's easier to line up attack combos when you're locked on. Move normally when you're exploring, lock on to tackle most foes, but press R3 button again if you need to drop your lock on and get away from an enemy that is gaining the upper hand. When facing packs of smaller enemies, you may want to avoid logging on, instead using the manual camera control along with quick dodges to avoid being surrounded. Camera control. The right stick controls your camera. Reposition is to see around corners, to keep your line of sight on a particular target, or to look all over a room when searching for treasure or threats. Use of R1, L1, and R2, L2 buttons. Use of the R1, L1, and R2, L2 buttons controls your equipment. The item on your right hand is used with R1 and R2. The item in your left hand gets the L1 and L2. If you're wielding an item in both hands, R1, L1, and R2, L2 buttons have different actions depending on what you're holding. Shield skills are set to L2 button and take priority over weapon skills for that slot as long as you're wielding a shield. Each weapon and shield has its own timing and moves, so you don't really know what you're going to get out of them until you practice. General rule is that R1 and L1 buttons are for the basics uses of those items, and R2 and L2 buttons deal with more specialized behaviors. For example, a shield is in your left hand and used to block with L1. Hold down L1 button to keep your shield ready and let go when you're done with it. It's simple enough, but L2 button might let you buff your attack power with a special skill. Most one-handed weapons have their basic attack as the first option, while the second action is slower and more damaging. In the case of a longsword, the basic attack and slash and R2 button attack is a thrust that can be charged. Try different uses of these moves. moves. Hold down L2 button for heavy attack to see if you can charge it for even more damage and to mix up your timings. Many weapons are also sensitive to movement and stance, producing new attacks while wielding it two-handed, sprinting, or coming out of a combat roll. Dodge. Use circle button to dodge in that direction that you aim with left stick while walking. If you're standing still, this move causes your character to suddenly backstab. Both of these maneuvers are critical for staying alive. Practice dodging constantly. Roll behind your enemies, jump back to avoid a heavy attack, or dodge to quickly evade lethal results. Over time, you'll learn when it's best to dodge, shield, block, or parry, but this is something that takes days or even weeks to play to master. If you're new to Dark Souls 3, try to dodge the heavier attacks and block the lighter ones. This is a safe start on your journey to mastery. Alternate one-hand and two-handed stance. Press triangle button to alternate between one-handed and two-handed stances for your current weapon. This makes it easy to switch to heavier attacks briefly and then go back to using a shield and another weapon while your enemy recovers. If you press and hold the triangle button, you switch to two-handed use of that item that is in your left hand instead. Many heavy and ultra-heavy weapons function best when used two-handed. Experiment to get a feel for their sets when used with one or both hands. The menu. Although you can't pause the game, there is a menu that you can bring up with the options, but try to see what's available. This is how you get some important screens, equipment, inventory, status, message, and system. The system menu has a number of options to explore. Take your time working with these options until you find the control scheme that is ideal for your playstyle. Be especially focused on camera speed, brightness, and camera axis. All of these influence the game considerably, so it is a good idea to find a setup that you enjoy the most. The status screen lets you look at your character and their stats. Inventory allows you to use some of your tools and to read descriptions for all of the items that you find. Check out the equipment screen to set up your hotbars, change armor, choose weapons, etc. Interaction. Use X button to interact with objects. This lets you pick up items, open doors, turn cranks. Press square to use the tool that you have equipped, or while throwing knives, use an Estus flask. Understanding your attributes. Your stats and attributes. Character attributes are very important in Dark Souls 3. You use souls to improve your attributes throughout the game to deal more damage, survive stronger enemy attacks, use better equipment, and master the best spells. Vigor. Overall health and frost resistance are controlled by your character's vigor. This is a major aspect of your survivability. It's very good for almost all characters have some visited vigor so they don't die in one or two hits. Vitality. This attribute controls your equip load, resistance to poison, and helps your defense as well. The heavier your equipment, the more this you need. This is a very defensive attribute because heavy equipment is essential for your survival against high damage enemies with melee focused builds. If you can't equip the heavier gear, you won't benefit from it. Endurance. Endurance controls your stamina and resistance to lightning and bleeding. Stamina is a very powerful offensive and defensive attribute. Without high stamina, you cannot block, dodge, or attack as effectively. All builds need endurance. Finally, attunement. Attunement raises your FPs and the number of attunement slots you receive. This is primarily an attribute for spellcasters, or if you want to use a large amount of stance attacks. The more you want to push towards this style of play with your character, the more you will want to concentrate on this attribute. So that's it for now. I'll read another manual later on. I just wanted to read this to you so that you can get a feel of what it's like. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.